I said, hey, yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Mojados, and we're back for another video. So, is the bottom in for Bitcoin? In today's video, we're going to be talking about everything that we can use to our advantage to give us an idea using past cycles, on-chain metrics, and current price action to try to forecast the, next moves of Bitcoin. So, let's jump right in here. So, taking a look, guys, I want to start from the macro time frame. So what we're gonna do is unwind and look at the big picture, all of Bitcoin's price action. And what you can see, guys, it's not very complicated, right? I think it's very straightforward, right? Is that we've had a monstrous move for Bitcoin, right? And I'm talking about from the beginning, right? All the way from the beginning. But of course, what I say every single time is that we're used to blow off tops, right? Where price peaks at the high and then drops, right? And even over here, peaks at the high and drops. Peaks at the high and drops, but never in Bitcoin history have we seen a double top, ever, okay? And that is something that you have to understand, okay? Because what's happening is that we're breaking all the rules of previous Bitcoin all-time highs, right? In the last two cycles, some people say three, but whatever it is, in the last two cycles, we never hit previous all-time highs, right? So you saw this consolidation here, but we never hit the previous all-time high. Same thing here. We never hit the previous all-time high. Price stayed above and made a new high. But guys, what's happened this time is that we came back to previous all-time highs. So we have broke a lot of rules. So what does that mean, guys? That basically the bottom is also going to be different. That we're not going to see the same type of bottom. And I think it's interesting, right? That we've pretty much hit a previous all-time high, and we're also doing something different in on-chain metrics, right? So guys, if you look at the on-chain metric side of things, right, is that for the first time in history, in Bitcoin history, after Bitcoin has bottomed, we have not seen the address holders with 1,000 Bitcoins buying back in at the low. Okay, so I'm gonna say that one more time. We have not seen Bitcoin holders get back into the market with over 1,000 Bitcoins. And that is concerning, right? Because remember, 1,000 Bitcoins, they're pretty much the whales that move the market, right? And you can see here back in 2012, even when the market bottomed, they continued accumulating, right? And at the top, they distributed. You can see that the 1,000 Bitcoin address falls, right? But guess what? When it bottoms again over here in 2015, they're buying up the market. And as we go up, they're selling. And again, price hits a high of whatever the hell, 20K, and price is going down with the addresses, but the 1,000 addresses start accumulating again, so it increases. So basically 2 or 3 times, whether you like to say that this is a market cycle of its own, what we've seen is unanimously that every single time the bottom was in, the big whales bought up a bunch of Bitcoin. But guess what? Why is it that when we're at this low here, Bitcoin whales are not buying, right? And so that is concerning. That is not a good sign for the future uptrend of Bitcoin, right? And guys, there's going to be another conclusion drawn from this, right? Is that maybe these people who want to buy Bitcoin, because let's be serious, we know that Bitcoin is not going anywhere, right? It's always going to be in this market. Maybe they're alternating their money and going to maybe go into altcoins. Maybe there's another possibility that can occur, right? And again, nothing fundamentally has changed about Bitcoin. Bitcoin network is strong. I'm not saying anything about Bitcoin, but what I'm trying to make the point is that this is concerning. Whether you look at it from a, any perspective, is that every Bitcoin cycle they have come back into the market, but they're not here, right? And I think that that's interesting. And basically, we're pretty much breaking a low from 2019, right? That pretty much shows the least, like 2,080 addresses with 1,000 Bitcoin, and it hasn't been that low since 2019, right? So again, I think it's going to continue dropping, or maybe they start spiking up. So we're going to have to watch for that closely. And basically, this could be a combination of reasons, but usually the whales with 1,000 Bitcoins are usually right. So, there could be a lot of reasons to conclude, what's happening with that, but it also could be alts that are going to take the lead, which we're going to talk about that in this video as well, about maybe Bitcoiners are going to go into alts and then come back into Bitcoin. So that could be a possibility. And I also want to talk about how maybe it's miners that are being that are capitulating, right? So there's like pretty much this graph resembles miners aggressively selling, and also there's another metric that shows that about 400% of Bitcoin miners have been selling due to their the non-profitability of mining Bitcoin at this moment. So basically it could be a sign of capitulation in some way. So whether you like to take that as a good thing or a bad thing, maybe that's the reason why 1,000 addresses are selling. But I also want to show you that from even the on-chain side, that Bitcoin network has hit an all-time high of 1 year holders. So people are holding over the period of 1 year has hit an all-time high. So basically people are buying and they're not even touching their Bitcoin. They're holding for dear life, right? And you can see here that active user counts is also growing, which is also a sign of a bottom, which is now going into the bullish side of things, right? Whenever, the market has bottomed, you can see that there has been a bullish divergence of active users relative to price. And, usually after that, price usually goes up. And we're also going to look at the halving as well, which is going to be another interesting aspect, which is coming up in 2 years. And again, you have a bunch of reasons here to believe that we're probably setting in a low from an on-chain perspective. Obviously, we're going to touch base on that in a second, how we're going to spot that low. But also, this is also crazy to me, is that we're seeing active addresses of essentially, 1 Bitcoin increasing at a dramatic rate. So now you're seeing 1 BTC address increasing dramatically, and clearly you can see here this is great news. But is it happening faster than 1,000 Bitcoin addresses selling, right? Because obviously, it's gonna take a what is the math on that? I'm having a brain fart. I can't right now. For some reason I can't think of the math, but basically it looks like to me is that we're having more selling of 1,000 Bitcoin addresses, right? Which is more pressure than these little guys stepping up here and buying up Bitcoin, right? Now also, there is a spike on 10 Bitcoin addresses as well. So greater than 10 Bitcoin. So this is also another interesting metric. And you're also seeing, 100 Bitcoin addresses kind of stabilizing here. But I think what's most important is that basically you're seeing a lot of 1, 10, and 100 addresses kind of stabilizing or growing. Meanwhile, the 1,000 Bitcoin addresses are kind of dumping here. So will their pressure outweigh the little guys? And that is what we're going to have to watch out for. We've also seen Fidelity jumping in the game as well, and they're also buying up a lot of crypto, which I think is interesting as well. So there's a lot of factors, and another on-chain metrics is the MVRV score. And what you're basically seeing is that Bitcoin is cheap at this price. Now that doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't go lower, but it does mean that at this point, according to on-chain metrics, we are seeing pretty much price, pretty much become relevantly cheap. And there's one other thing I want to share for you guys is that basically we are seeing, Fidelity jump into the market, and this is what I want to share with you guys. So this is it right here, right? And what you guys can see is that, we have more adoption when it comes to institutional buying. And I think this is important because, again, this stuff is not going to happen at once. And I think it's interesting that it's happening at the Bitcoin low, right? And of course, I'm not saying you can't go lower, but what I'm trying to say is that why is it that institutions are now getting involved in Bitcoin lows, right? Why is it that there's no ETF? Are they trying to help institutions get more involved before they pass regulation? And that is just me speculating, but obviously we've seen that time and time again where they help out, the big money first, and then they shit on retail because that's just how the market is. They're not on our side, right? They're gonna help the incumbents first. They make the markets, they help their buddies get into the market, and then they're able to move in. And now going back into what we're seeing here, from a technical standpoint, I'm gonna really make this simple for you guys, right? Because obviously, there's a bunch of things I can show you from a technical perspective, but I just showed you a bunch of on-chain metrics that give me signs that a bottom is close. Now, does that mean the bottom's in? No. And this is why we went from, yes, on-chain metrics are now becoming bullish. Now, let's use technical analysis instead of on-chain metrics to try to determine where that bottom is. Now, before I talk about that, nobody knows the bottom is. And I'm going to repeat that again. Nobody knows what the bottom is. Anybody telling you they know where it is full of shit. Now, obviously, this zone right here that I have marked in gray is a monthly demand zone. So that is an ideal area where it would bottom if it does hit it. Okay, so that is a target at 12K. That is somewhere that I will go extremely heavy in if we go and get it. Now, what about if we don't? And what I'm going to show you next is basically this chart here. This is from BTC Coinbase chart. And the reason why I have Binance here as well is because to show you the volume as well, right? Because this volume is the most volume that we've ever seen on Binance. You also saw this kind of volume picking up here as well before. But the reason why it's so much more here in 2022 is because there's more interest in Bitcoin. There's more people wanting to buy Bitcoin, and it's outweighed 2018 by so much that it makes it look so tiny, right? But guys, back in 2019 down here, this wasn't little volume. This was a lot of volume coming off the low. It just looks tiny right now because, of course, we've gained more adoption in this space. So obviously it's going to make a difference, and it's the reality of this market as we keep growing, right? We're going to see more institutional investors, more retail speculation, and more people wanting to get involved. So therefore, we're going to get more volume. And I think this volume is extremely important because you're not only seeing it on Binance, but guess what? You're also seeing it on Coinbase, right? And guess what? Every single time we've seen Coinbase peak on volume, the bottom was in over here, down there, right? You also saw a spike over here and even over here when the bottom was set, and even over here when the last time the bottom was set, and over here when this high was set. And guys, are you getting it, right? Are you guys getting it? These were local bottoms. And what I'm trying to point out is that volume across Binance, Coinbase, on-chain metrics showing bullish signs, everything is showing confluent signs that the bottom is close. Am I saying the bottom is in? Absolutely not. But do I believe the bottom is close? Yes. And I think it's very, very simple if you dumb it down that way, because it's not complicated. A lot of people take this stuff and make this super complicated, but it's not. I promise you it's not. And guys, how am I going to find the bottom? This is what I'm going to do right now. So listen very closely, okay? Okay. Now, basically, I'm going to make this very simple, and I'm going to use ranges to do so, okay? So what you can see here, and actually I could pull up the BLX chart. This might do a better job. Actually, yeah, we'll leave the BLX chart for a second alone, right? For just 1 second. So basically, what you can see is usually a range. And when there's a range, what you want to watch for is a hold in the range, right? So what you're seeing right here is a hold, right? And a retest of some sort. And it breaks out and holds it and moves up, right? Now, this is a range, obviously, from 2015, and it moves off of that low. Cool. Now, over here as well, we're seeing the same story in 2018. What was this? A low. You see a deviation, a reclaim, and then a move up. Perfect. Now, we didn't get that retest, but all you need to see is the reclaim on the bottom of the range. Same story here. What am I waiting for? We have the bottom put in here. Now, is this a deviation? How do we know? Well, what I'm waiting for is a push to the upside and a reclaim here. Guys, if we get back into this range, to me, the local bottom will be in, okay? So listen to me closely. The local bottom will be in if we get back into this range here. And so what does that mean? The local bottom means that this area itself is going to be a bottom, right? Like this is a local bottom because what? Guess what happened? It stopped there and it moved up. Now, was that the macro bottom? Obviously not, because it went lower. But guys, local bottoms turn into macro bottoms. And judging how the move will be after we reclaim this area will make it clear to us if that was a bottom or not. So again, giving an example of that is if we get up out of this range above this area here, which is what I'm waiting for, then I'll become very, very bullish, right? But guess what? If we start going very slowly up, very, very slowly up, chopping, that is bearish. But guess what? If we see a strong move coming out of that range there and giving us a lot of momentum behind it, like very impulsive, a lot of volume here as well, like imagine seeing a big bunch of volume, then that will be bullish, and that will give me confidence to tell you guys that the bottom is in. And when is the last time we saw a lot of volume off the bottom? Right over here, right? Right over here in 2015, and right over here, guys, in 2019. And that is what I'm trying to make clear to you guys. It's very, very simple. All we're watching for is a move off of the low and back into this range, holding this bottom, and then the bottom will be in. And guys, Do I believe the bottom is in right now without confirmation? I believe we're extremely close. And for me, I think it's a very good area to dollar cost average because I believe it's a long-term hold. But again, that doesn't mean that we don't, bottom out like soon, right? So of course, there is that possibility, like I've mentioned, that we do go lower. And that is why, if you want to be safe, if you want to trade on confirmation, you can wait for the reclaim here at 17,600. So guys, go about it however you wish, but I am not going to sit there and tell you exactly how to play it. I actually bought Bitcoin and sold my car. Guys, I sold my car and bought Bitcoin here around, 4K. And I have it documented on my Twitter, which is unfortunately suspended. LOL. So hopefully Elon brings that back, and one day I'll get to show you the screenshot of that. But guys, what you're seeing here, guys, is again, patience. So I made it clear for you guys right now. I broke down what I'm waiting for, all the on-chain metrics, everything you need to see to give you that confirmation. And now I want to kind of pivot towards altcoins for a second, because it's important to understand that, because again, if all this money is coming out of Bitcoin, guys, and the whales are coming out of Bitcoin, the whales are smart enough to identify what Bitcoin is. They understand why it's important. But do you think they're completely leaving Bitcoin, or do you think that they're waiting to enter altcoins? And this is my last point here, guys. Bitcoin dominance is breaking down. Okay, Bitcoin dominance is breaking down, and I think that that's very interesting, because when this breaks down, usually what happens is ETH dominance goes up after. And what you're seeing right now is exactly that, right? So we have a breakdown, a V-shaped recovery, and I think it's going to go back up again. And when this does happen, what you're going to see is altcoins taking the lead, basically, right? So first, BTC dominance breaks down, and it loses dominance because of what? ETH. And ETH goes up, which then means altcoins go up, right? So it's a sequence. And when you take both of them together, you take ETH and BTC dominance and you combine them, guess what you see? You see this chart here, and this is the ETH and BTC dominance combined. And if this breaks down, guys, what we can expect is a altcoin season. Now, does that mean altcoins are going to hit all-time highs? Absolutely not. All it means is that altcoins will outpace BTC. And for guys, it doesn't mean that it has to go completely bonkers and alts are going to go all-time high, all this bullshit. No, that doesn't mean none of that. All it means is that altcoins will outperform ETH and BTC, but everything happens in cycles, right? So I think that it's important to remember that. And I think it's also important to make sure that you understand everything that I said here. And I want to conclude this with this right here, okay? So this is the RSI in a 2-week time frame, and what you can see is when we're at this level, the bottom is extremely close. What you're seeing is basically, the RSI kind of consolidating at this range low, and down here. And guys, once we get back above 39, then basically a local bottom will be in. Now, that is, again, everything in this video is my opinion. You do not have to take it as financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I am not a financial advisor of any sort. This is my opinion. You could do whatever the hell you want. For all I know, I could be completely wrong, okay? But I do these videos because I want to give you guys my opinion, so I can come back 1 year from now and say, hey, look, I did this time and I was correct. I was correct about the top of Bitcoin here, and you guys can go look at 2 or 3 videos ago where my Twitter was active, and I show a screenshot of me calling the top of Bitcoin, right? So, I'm not here to toot my horn. I'm just showing you all the things, all the data that I just pointed out to you guys to basically say, hey, listen, this is why I believe the top is in. This is why I think that we might get a bounce here. And honestly, I think I did an amazing job here. And if you guys want to stay up to date, please feel free to like and sub, because I do these monthly updates, and I also do monthly BTC videos and daily, actually, I'm going to say daily videos talking about the midterm or short-term price action for Bitcoin. And I think it's important to track that, because obviously Bitcoin kind of is the king of the market at this moment, and everything follows Bitcoin. So with that, again, please like and sub if you're not already. And I really do appreciate it. Please share the video with friends who you might find this valuable. It really does help the channel. And if you have any comments, feel free to comment down all below. I'll make sure to answer any questions for you guys. And again, don't forget, haru haru haru. Peace.